Okay. Assalamu alaikum, and welcome to the series of videos we're doing for the Public Qur'an Campaign, where we talk about verses of the Qur'an and how they've affected us and what significance they have in our lives. So today I'm interviewing Lauren Booth, who is a journalist, broadcaster, an activist, and author of the memoir Finding Peace in the Holy Land, about accepting Islam in the modern Western context. In 2019, this was adapted into Accidentally Muslim, a one-woman show she performed at the 2019 Edinburgh Fringe Festival. Her course, Find Your Voice on Teachable, brings practical and prophetic speaking skills together. So without going further into this, we can jump straight in and we ask you about, have you chosen a few verses or a verse that has had some specific significance in your life? And you can tell us a bit about it.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah. It's so good to see you again, brother, and thanks to you and your family for this wonderful idea and this great opportunity to discuss the book that shapes our lives. Alhamdulillah. You know, when you first contacted me, I almost did the default opt out of, but it's all perfect and it's all amazing. And then actually when you sit down and you reflect for a moment, there's always ayah that swim through the consciousness and say, no, this one. And so I knew immediately actually that there were three that continue to always affect me in a certain way, but at a certain time had a really powerful effect on the course of my life and the way that I see the world, subhanallah, and my place in it as a human being and as a believer. So I'm going to share those today, inshallah. So the first is Surah Baqarah, verse 8. And the first time I read this verse was in around 2007. I wasn't Muslim, but I had been given a Quran in the streets of Jerusalem, Al-Quds, by a young Palestinian shabab, with the promise, please don't forget us when you leave Palestine. So I decided one day when my children were going to school, after they were out, I thought, let me look at that book of the Muslims, because you know what, they're nice people. I wonder if there isn't something really good in it that I need. So I opened up the Holy Quran and I read Surah Fatiha, and it was very similar to what I'd understood of the Bible. You know, God is one, ask him for help, you know, like supply my daily bread. Okay, I got that. Don't go off the straight path. Okay, that was reasonable. But then I hit this verse and it terrified me. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. And of the people are some who say, we believe in Allah and the last day, but they are not believers. They seek to deceive Allah and the believers. Yet they only deceive themselves, but they fail to perceive it. There is a sickness in their hearts, and Allah only lets their sickness increase. They will suffer a painful punishment for their lies. This was like being punched in the solar plexus. All of the breath left my body because I suddenly realized that a 1400-year-old book was speaking directly to my condition. I would say to people routinely, with a glass in my hand and a cigarette, in very lowly places, yeah, I believe in God. Yeah, God is great. Yeah, God is great. And yet everything that I did, well, not everything, but all of my personal habits that had become traits over the years, completely conflicted with that opinion. And I thought, oh my God, if I believe in God, then he has expectations of me. And I think that's what this verse does. It's so early on in the Quran. And, you know, it's not airy-fairy, you know, there is like this movement to make Islam this, oh, God is love and he forgives everything and you don't have to do anything. Allah is all merciful, yes. Allah is Ar-Rahman, yes. Ar-Rahim, yes. But we have demands made on us. Subhanallah. And this told me I was in a really bad state. So I remember closing the Quran and going, wow, nice book, nice people, scary book. That was, I actually wrote that quote down. How are they so nice when they read this scary stuff every day? But what I didn't know, of course, is that when you come to that as a believer, you say, Allah, protect me and never let me be in that state once or again. And please forgive those who are in that state and protect us. And it's a very different reading. But if you read those lines in a disbelieving or a hypocritical state, that to me is the epitome of terror.
Yes, very, very interesting. I mean, it's an important verse, and people talk about, you know, how the Quran, the beginning of the Quran, is an answer, because this is the book of guidance, and the Fatiha starts with a prayer for guidance. So the Fatiha is that guidance. So it's kind of puts you on track, and clearly that had a big impact on putting you on track, so to speak. So you said you have a couple more, or is there you
yeah?
Okay. Well,
so
about those.
The second one is verse 41. Surah 41, ayah 53, and this, when I read it, made me cry so much that I thought I needed to rehydrate. It was one of those really massive, instantaneous cries, because it directly reflected something I'd experienced, and that I think all humans experience at some point in their lives. And it happened to me. I was in Tehran in 2010, and I had had a spiritual experience, or I hate that wishy-washy. I'd felt a belief in Allah. Okay, I'm not going to do the spirituality. I felt a belief in Allah in a mosque. And I was sitting at 6 a.m. outside Tehran airport, watching the sun come up. And I thought, I don't want to get on that plane without knowing what it is to be a believer, because if the plane comes down and I'm not Muslim, I've wasted my life. And what really, really floored me that morning was the beauty of the sunrise. I mean, just get outside and watch the miracle of the sun coming up, and think that Allah Ta'ala has made that for us, has made it for living things, has made the world subservient to our needs, not our desire, to our needs. And it's so beautiful. And this is the verse. And it was like my first sunrise. And I've been blessed in my life to see many. I've slept outside for months at a time. I've been a backpacker and a traveler. But this one, it was a new dawn. It was a new dawn. Not to paraphrase Tony Blair, but it was a new dawn. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. We will show them our signs in the horizons and within themselves, until it becomes clear to them that it is the truth. But is it not sufficient concerning your Lord that he is over all things a witness? The impact of having signs in ourselves, and there's many readings of this, brother. I mean, I know that there's some readings that include looking at the miracle of the arteries or the human eye. I mean, you know, we cannot replicate. You know, if you hold up, and I do this all the time, you hold up your iPhone, you're like, this is so gorgeous, and you look at the picture and it's rubbish. And what the eye is seeing is so full of depth and movement and life, and a phone, no 4K, 5K will ever catch what the human eye can do. And so the signs are within ourselves and in the horizons, until we should just sink to our knees, really. I think this ayah just deserves a sajda, doesn't it, really?
Yes, I remember thinking about this verse. It's the kind of, there are two ways where our knowledge is limited. And when we look to the furthest horizons, which is one way, it's like that's beyond what we know, and therefore it brings us a sense of humility. And I think that's fundamental to a believer's perspective on life, is you know that your knowledge is limited, and when you start looking at the limits of your knowledge, that's when you appreciate your own state within creation. So yes.
And of course, as human beings, we, you know, well, why do we crave going to the beach? It's not to get the sand, you know, that we then have to later wash off and shake our towels and it makes a mess. It's to actually stand on the shore of eternity and and to consider ourselves a grain of sand on a beach, and yet one that is so precious, so precious to the creator of all things.
Okay, so you said you had a third one you wanted to mention?
Yeah.
Okay, let's go.
So the third one is similar. I really am in awe of Allah's creation more and more. I've started to grow little things, gardens, seedlings, tomatoes, aubergines, just my little effort to really reconnect with the process of where our food comes from. And that takes you outside. And you know, part of Islamic improvement and deepening knowledge is to reflect on the creation of Allah and its perfection. And I don't know if I'm going to be able to get through this even in English. I have to learn how to say it in Arabic, inshallah ta'ala, but there's something in it that just floors me every single time. It's about the perfection around us. 67:3, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. It is He who has created 7 heavens, one above the other. You can see no flaw in the creation of the beneficent God. Look again. Can you see faults? It's that they look at the sky and then look again. It's a challenge. Go on, have a look and think if man could do better than this. Really try and imagine something better than the sky, something that the rain comes down and the rays give us light and the moon is up there at night. And the oxygen that is in there and the miracles we can't even see beyond that, and there's no flaw in it. And you just, you know, wow. Well,
thank you very much. It's been a pleasure listening to your reflections about verses in the Quran. Inshallah, we'll follow this series and have more people and more reflections, and hopefully it be inspirations to whoever watches the videos. And inshallah, may Allah give us barakah in this effort. Inshallah. Jazakallah.
Ameen. Allah bless you all.